Hey everybody, Preston Poulter here with Pocket Jacks Comics, and I want to do a follow-up on yesterday's video about the Jawbreakers lawsuit because, wow, I've never gotten so many comments. This is clearly of interest. Okay, great. That I love talking about litigation. I've been in litigation a number of times. I've become kind of the expert amongst my circle of friends. I'm like the most qualified person you can talk to who doesn't have Esquire after their name. Because I've been on both sides. I've been defendant. I've been plaintiff. I've actually, I've gotten to ask questions, not just write them down, but I've actually gotten to, be the one asking questions at a deposition. There's all kinds of, I know things. I drink and I know things. All right, so what I wanted to do is because there is so much interest in this case, in both on Twitter and in my YouTube comments as well as other YouTube videos. What I want to do is I want to do kind of a critical analysis here of the case. I want to imagine that for a moment that we are dispassionate observers. And that goes against human nature. Human nature wants to look at a situation, any situation, and find a villain and a hero. And you root for the hero and you jeer at the villain. And I say this, and it seems obvious to me because it's what I'm observing every day, but people bristle at this notion while they are cheering for everything Richard C. Meyer does and booing everything that Mark Waid does. Look, I'm gonna. If you're looking for an echo chamber where everything I say is Mark Waid, boo, Richard C. Meyer, yay, that's not me. That's not the content I'm putting out. This channel may not be for you. But if you're interested in kind of a more critical analysis, where we're just going to look at the evidence that's likely to be presented to a jury and speculate about whether this helps or whether this hurts, okay. And I think this is interesting because, you know what? Civil litigation is something we may all be involved in at one point or another, and going through the exercise of dispassionately detaching yourself. Because when you're in the middle of litigation, I promise you, you are 100% there for your own side. You see every piece of evidence that comes in is like, yes, this is a slam dunk. I'm going to completely crush them at trial. And every piece of evidence that comes in that's for the other side, you're like, those lying bastards. You can't imagine how involved you get when your butt is on the line. And it seems like we have a similar case. Like, people get so involved in, Richard C. Meyer and his prosecution of Mark Waid, because they view it as, it is, and I have to agree with them to the extent that what we saw in this case, if we just really stand back and look at it, is we had the SJWs on the internet digging up every dirty thing they could because they just didn't like the guy, and then putting it out there and hammering, various people in the supply chain and going, do you really want to work with someone this bad? And Mark Waid is simply the most high-profile SJW to get involved and to essentially to crush the little guy. And you know what? Look, I've experienced this stuff firsthand. The first time I got involved in the comic business, I had my comic book. I finally got it out. I paid my own money to get my comic book out. It was about the 2 deadliest male fighter pilots in the world. By the way, Kickstarter coming up on issue 3 on May the 9th. Yeah! But back when I only had issue 1, I strolled down to a comic book store. This was when I was living in LA. And I was like, hey, buddy, what do you think about this? And the guy, for whatever reason, didn't like me, didn't like whatever. And he goes and just absolutely pitchforks me on the internet, and here come all of these abusive social justice people, trying to tear me down. So that was my first exposure to comics. So look, I know what it's like. I get it. But let's go through an exercise of just detaching ourselves for a bit. Let's pretend we're dispassionate and uninvolved and look at the evidence as it's going to come in. All right? So there were there's some information I didn't have yesterday, which is apparently the umbrella guy released some text messages between him and so the other Dunn, Ben Dunn, was messaging the umbrella guy regarding an Indiegogo campaign, and he said the following. So let's go through these tweets, these messages as released from the umbrella guy, which allegedly is coming from Ben Dunn. Like, I wasn't there, I can't, but let's go ahead and take the umbrella guy on faith and say, okay, these actually did come from Ben Dunn. So what did Ben Dunn say? He said, I want to thank you for your fair assessment of the situation overall. Truth be told, AP has always been on the fringe of the comics industry, yet somehow we survive. We had high hopes for the success of Jawbreakers, but the virulent attack on my brother from the SJW side was unprecedented. Something we had never experienced in our 33 years in business. It was like Pearl Harbor for us. You have to understand, there were personal considerations as well. My brother's decision was heartbreaking because after the Wade call, he was afraid of the future of some of the friends who worked for Marvel. Normally, next page. Normally, we would have ignored such attacks, but it began to intrude on his other job, and this is when we had to make the decision to cancel the book. Then the other side attacked, and we were caught in the middle. It was a no-win situation for us. So we thought it best just to remain silent. This, of course, led to much speculation of the course of action we took. I wonder if we had stuck to our guns or if Wade had kept his nose out, if we would even be having this discussion. If nothing else, it exposes the seedy underbelly of the comics industry. So at least some good came out of it. All right, so this clearly is, that's a bombshell. Now, let's put together a hypothetical trial, and I want you to kind of dispassionately remove yourself, and we're just going to look at the evidence. All right, just going to look at the evidence. First off, let's look at what a jury would be tasked with doing. So, I printed out some jury instructions for us to look at. So, here is jury instruction 2201. Name of plaintiff, in this case it would be Richard C. Meyer, claims that Mark Wade intentionally interfered with a contract between him and Anarctic Press. To establish this claim, Richard C. Meyer must prove all of the following. First, that there was a contract between Richard C. Meyer and Anarctic Press. So that's the first element. By the way, if Richard C. Meyer can't prove every single element, his case fails. Just FYI. Second, that Mark Wade knew of the contract, that the defendant's conduct prevented performance or made performance more expensive or difficult, that Mark Wade intended to disrupt the performance of the contract or knew the disruption of performance was certain or substantially certain to occur, that Richard C. Meyer was harmed, and that Mark Wade's conduct was a substantial factor in causing Richard C. Meyer's harm. Okay. So, seems fairly straightforward. This jury instruction comes from California, which, having lived in California, there are some aspects of the state I love and some aspects of the state I hate. I love that they put their jury instructions online, so I can just look it up and do that. Texas does not, so I can't provide this handy guide for Texas. But Texas is essentially similar. If you can prove that some person was a substantial factor, they use slightly differing language, but essentially a substantial factor in the failure of a contract and knew a contract did exist and sought to interfere with it, then that's your case. So let's go through these elements as a dispassionate jury and look at the evidence before us now. Now, of course, this is going to change, but I just want to get you in the habit of critical thinking, because critical thinking is what separates the thinking man from the reactionary moralist. And we all know what SJWs are, right? Don't be like those people. So, let's think. Let's put on our thinking hats. Let's go through this. Okay, so what evidence is going to get presented at trial? Okay, well, clearly Richard C. Meyer is going to get up there and he's going to say, okay, here's what I was trying to do, and here's the things that here are the parties I interacted with. Now, there's a hearsay rule, and that's going to be important in this case, which is Richard C. Meyer can't testify to what somebody else said unless that person is going to be there at trial himself. So Richard C. Meyer can say, hey, in my conversation with Ben Dunn, or in my conversation with Joe Dunn, they said this to me, because they're going to be present at trial, and they will get to be brought up, and they'll get to tell their side of the story. So they're going to go, okay, that's interesting. Okay, that's interesting. But Richard C. Meyer cannot testify. And then my friend, the umbrella guy, sent me these things, right? Because that's now saying what a person who was not at trial was saying. Now, there are ways to kind of get around this, but the idea that, boom, we're going to introduce the tug messages. One thing you can do is you can introduce this kind of surprise evidence as something to impeach somebody's testimony. So, for instance, if Ben Dunn gets up on the stand and says, I never communicated with anyone regarding the Mark Wade situation, then you can go, well, hold up. Do you recognize this? You can use it to impeach testimony. Or if he says, Mark Wade had absolutely no influence on our decision, boom, you can use this kind of testimony to impeach. But the question I got to ask is, are these messages going to get introduced at trial? Let's say, for the sake of argument, they are. Let's just say they are. But it's not guaranteed, just so you know. All right, so now let's go to the next element. I got a one. All right, so we got Richard C. Meyer. He's clearly going to testify that what he did was right. And, Richard C. Meyer's testimony is going to be, I was just walking along, publishing my book, sending out some tweets, and then, boom, this bad thing happened, and there's that person did it right there. We recognize person in the courtroom. Yeah, it's the bald guy with the scraggly red goatee. Yeah, him. Okay. And then Mark Wade's going to get up there and say, oh my God, I've been continually harassed by all these horrible things that people say. Every day in my face is just all this stuff. And then I learned that this other small company was going to publish their book, and they were receiving so much heat. And I just reached out of compassion and said, hey, do you know that maybe Richard C. Meyer's a bad person? Okay, so we've got Richard C. Meyer's going to say that. Mark Wade's going to see that. What are the Dunn brothers going to say? Well, I'm going to guess, because they're brothers and because they work together, they're probably going to work out their story in advance. Or maybe not, but, it would be highly unusual if these two didn't sit down with each other privately and go, okay, let's get our story straight. And there's one thing I want you to know about litigation, okay? Everybody lies. Everybody lies. All the time. Constantly. Okay, constantly. The only time they don't lie is when they think they're not going to get caught. And there have been people saying...
And it's like he's so afraid of him that he was willing to go on the stand and lie.
Brought up on perjury.
This is perjury.
Over these.
Now Ben Dunn is going to get called to the stand, and he's going to have to say, what's with this?
It is painful. That statement pains me, because I remember thinking that the justice system used to work like that. I remember thinking that, if somebody gets up there and lies, they perjure themselves, and there will be penalties. No. In fact, I remember one time, I put out there on Los Internet, some statements I made. This was a different life, a long time ago. A statement I made about, just interactions I had with some other people, and the other person didn't like what I had to say. I didn't mention them by name, but if you knew me and if you knew him, if you were in that kind of special circle of friends relationship, you knew who I was talking about. Okay, so, but whatever. He didn't like what I said, and so he filed a restraining order against me alleging that I was stalking him, and included in the allegations that I attended a party where he was going to be and that I was stalking him all night. Okay? The truth is, I was never at that party. And I brought with me to court 2 witnesses who were at that party who were prepared to testify I was not at said party. And one of them was convinced, as you probably are now, like, this person cannot lie under oath and make allegations against you in these kinds of settings. And I'm like, nothing will happen to him. Now, the restraining order was defeated. In fact, the judge just laughed at the guy, like, dude, are you serious? But I did kind of bring up there at the end, just for the benefit of my pal, I'm like, Your Honor, there are two witnesses here which are ready to contradict the direct statements he has made to. Is there going to be any penalties assessed to him? And of course, I knew the answer. Like, no. Judge don't give a damn. You think the district attorney gives a damn what Joe Dunn said in some civil trial somewhere? You're off your rocker. Not to mention, you don't think Ben Dunn can't just sit there on the witness stand and say, well, yeah, I mean, look, I'm out here to sell books, and I knew that the umbrella guy was pretty high profile in the anti-SJW/Comicsgate industry, so I knew I wanted to tell him the sympathetic story. So in that message, I just lied my butt off so that the Comicsgate people would come buy Anarchy Press stuff. He was under no obligation to tell the truth to the umbrella guy. None. So Ben Dunn can get it there on the stand and just say, yeah, I lied. I absolutely lied. Now, the jury can say, well, maybe I believe the message over what he's saying now. But if the Dunns are together and they're basically saying, you know what, let's go, and they've basically chosen a side, and they've said, let's go kind of to Wade's defense on this one, it's going to be better for us in the long run, or whatever their motivations happen to be. And, like, look, I'm purely speculating. I don't know. Please don't take anything I'm saying here as a direct indictment of their behavior. I'm merely just throwing it out, speculating a hypothetical trial, and saying, well, which side are the Dunns going to come down on? Based on the deposition I read yesterday, they're coming down in favor of Mark Waid, and that means they can get up there and they can say whatever they want, right? They have an obligation to tell the truth, but they didn't, as I said, Ben Dunn didn't have an obligation to tell the truth in those messages. Now, maybe Richard C. Meyer's attorney can suggest to the jury that, well, the Dunns, if they are coming down solidly in terms of pro-Wade and saying he never influenced me at all, Richard C. Meyer's attorney can make some noise and go, hey, look at these messages here. Clearly, Mark Waid was, the direct cause, the substantial factor of causing this contract to be canceled. Sure. I mean, Richard C. Meyer's attorney can say that. I believe his name is Mr. Byrne. Can say that. Okay, great. But now let's put ourselves in terms of our theoretical jury. And this is going to be the hardest thing you can do, because I'm sure all these watchers out there have already made up your minds who the hero is and who the villain is. And you want the hero to do good and the villain to be punished. Right? Guess what? The jury wants the same thing. They're going to look in that courtroom and they're going to try and find a hero and a villain. And I'm sorry, law be damned, the jury's going to find for the hero and against the villain. In the O.J. case, despite overwhelming evidence that O.J., the criminal case, that he did it, that jury saw him as a hero and the justice system as a villain. They rewarded the hero and they punished the villain. That's most of the time what a jury's going to do. So they're going to sit down and they're going to look and they're going to go, who's my hero, who's my villain? Okay, we got three people, Mark Waid and the two Dunn brothers, in my hypothetical example, who are going to go, we were just doing our business, and then out comes this rude person, and the Dunns are going to say, I had no idea how horrible he was. Meanwhile, germane to the decision is basically all this SJW evidence that got presented. Did you know Richard C. Meyer referred to somebody as a cum dumpster? Do you know he said this mean thing? Do you know he said that mean thing? That was germane to their decision, meaning it is admissible at trial as evidence, meaning all these negative things that Richard C. Meyer says is going to be presented to this jury. And it's going to be difficult for the jury to sit there and go, that's not a villain, that guy right there. Meanwhile, it's kind of 3-on-1, right? Mark Waid and the two Dunn brothers are going to be like, yeah, you know what, this call I had was cool. Now, there's kind of the truth of the matter of, well, you sent out, Joe Dunn sent out an email before the call saying, hey, I want the publishing to go through. Then he takes the call. A few minutes later, he sends out an email, never mind, we're not doing it. Well, it seems like Mr. Waid was a substantial factor in causing the contract to fail. Sure, there are a few arguments Mr. Wade's attorney can make. A, and we saw some of these in the deposition I read yesterday, the contract was essentially to, acquire the rights to the book, and the contract wasn't signed. That's another thing the jury's going to have to sit there and go, did a contract exist? Now, I know in your mind a contract existed, and in my mind a contract existed, and even to a certain extent in Joe Dunn's deposition, he goes, yeah, I considered us to have an agreement. Okay, but is the jury going to jump on board and say, yes, there was absolutely a contract? Or, going back to our jury instructions, did Mark Wade know there was a contract? Because that's an element that can fail. The jury can go, you know what? Mr. Wade did not understand that there was a contract in place because he adopted the position that unless a contract is signed, an agreement doesn't exist. And the jury might find that to be a reasonable position, and then the whole house of cards of this particular claim comes down, right? You've got all these messages floating around which are going to be presented to the jury. There's no way to get them excluded because they're so germane to what the Dunns were talking about in relation to publishing the book. I'm going to find it very hard that the jury isn't going to sit there and go, that's our villain, right there. Richard C. Myers, our villain. We want to punish him and reward these other people. Maybe I'm wrong. But I'm going to make a prediction right now. And, a year or so down the road, come back to this video and tell me if I'm right or I'm wrong when the whole case settles up. But I'm going to tell you who is going to win at this trial. I will stake... I'll stake a bunch on it. I'm saying, anyone wants to get $100 bills right now, to enter in $100 bills with Preston, let me know. I'm going to tell you who's going to win at trial, okay? There are going to be two people that win at that trial, okay? Mark Zaid is going to win at that trial, and Richard C. Myers' attorney is going to win at that trial. What do I mean by that? I mean, most likely the scenario that's going to happen is pre-trial, after all these depositions have been happened, all these motions have been filed, all their pre-trial prep work, they're going to sit down with their clients, maybe with a mediator. They're going to hammer out a deal by which maybe Mark Wade pays $20,000, right? Because, what's the value of the contract? Who knows what the value of Jawbreakers would have been, right? So here's $20,000. An undisclosed settlement by which both parties will exit the room and just say, I was satisfied with what happened, because there'll definitely be a do not disparage clause in there. And meanwhile, so let's say Mark Wade paid $20,000 from his checking account to Richard C. Meyer in our hypothetical settlement, and both attorneys got how much? Right? They're the winners. I've been doing this long enough to know who the winners are. Those two are the winners. The rest of us just get this show. We get this grand spectacle to watch and to get passionate about. And, I understand that. But I also view it as an opportunity to let's kick the raw around a bit and talk about how judicial proceedings go. So I hope you like my critical analysis of the Jawbreakers case thus far. If I got it wrong, let me know. I'm sure a bunch of you people are going to be letting me know just like you did yesterday, and then that's fine. By the way, I have a Kickstarter coming up for White Lily issue 3 on May the 9th. The story of the 2 deadliest female fighter pilots in history. The artwork for the comic book was just completed yesterday. It's now off to the letterer, so pretty soon I'm going to have lettered pages to share with you folks. Thank you very much for your time. Take care.